All right, start that recording for the next one.
Okay, I'm recording.
Ken is behind.
Does
Do I
my
have to
audio
stop?
sound okay? All right, I'm recording now.
Okay, so I'm 18 seconds longer than Ken.
That's
All right,
what
and I'm
she
at
said.
8 seconds.
Oh! Hey, I'm Joe.
I'm Ken. I'm Anna Drew.
And I'm Dan?
And we're the Rewinders Podcast, rewinding movies to see if they hold up. And this time, we stuck with the joke too long and watched Naked Gun 33 1/3. I don't know about you guys, but...
You went highbrow with that and didn't make a joke about Anna Nicole Smith.
What happened? Who? Anna Nicole Smith? Why would I make a joke about her?
'Cause
Oh,
she can't
that's
act.
what you were doing. Oh, maybe. I don't
Anna
know.
Drew sounds like a Taylor Swift
She makes
detective.
she makes really good set pieces.
Yeah, well, if anyone thought she was hired for her skills at acting, you are horribly mistaken.
I don't know. She was pretty convincing.
I mean,
this-
she got typecast real hard.
Yeah. It's like this movie likes to work with stereotypes.
Oh, imagine that. I was going to say, at the end of 2, didn't they have, what's her name, at the end that hit the police officer with their bag and said, this shit happens all the time?
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Yeah. That was typecasting.
Yeah, at the end of the intro.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure who that was, but I was like, oh, well, that's a thing. Okay.
Yeah. She smacks the cherry top on the car.
Yeah, back then, for quite a while, she was known for assaulting the police officers that would pull her over.
So, again, time capsule joke.
Yep. So, my history with this movie is next to non-existent because I was so burnt out from the series. Dan, I know.
They can't. The audience can't see the happy face that I'm making. Somebody who I can corroborate with. Oh man, I'm peeking really bad. Ooh,
Wait,
Get away from the
I gotta
Did we
calm
do our
down.
intro?
What?
Did we do the intro? I'm getting
Yeah.
real confused.
Yeah, we did the intro.
Okay, wonderful. Awesome.
You were
Okay,
there.
Never mind. Barely.
You were there. Dan was there.
Oh, right.
And-
Anna Drew.
Anna Drew was there.
Good lord.
And we
My
went down
brain
a
is
yellow
melting.
brick road.
I could really use a deja vu thing right now.
Deja vu.
That's it. This is the Mandela effect. We haven't actually recorded anything today, Ken. What are you talking about?
What?
Yeah, Ken, do you want me to take you down to Total Recall? They can remember it for you wholesale.
Oh, that sounds like a great deal.
All right, let's get some movie plots implanted in your brain. So you have no history with this, Joe.
I'm sure I saw bits and pieces of it, but that's gotta be about it. I didn't really remember much of anything of it and it felt like how I expected to feel watching the movie, which was something I'll explain later.
Sure. Like I said, I remember this one the most, and I think it's just because Jurassic Park's my favorite film, and it has Geriatric Park. I always went back as a kid and giggled at Geriatric Park over and over again. So the rest of the movie really couldn't give a damn. I don't care what's happening in the rest of it. Just when it gets to Geriatric Park, ha 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 ha.
I watched this movie for the first time. Yes, I guess technically it would have been this morning at like 1 a.m.
Oof. Now-
Okay, here we go.
I swear I watched this movie before. I had this weird feeling the entire time I watched this movie, but it was like it was all new, but it was like I watched it before. I don't know. No, I've never watched this movie before. I had no interest in watching, I had very little interest in watching the first one prior to and then like the second one would have never crossed my mind to watch, and this one I would have actively avoided watching just because I didn't watched the first two, so would never have watched this movie.
Whenever we went to go rent The Naked Gun, when I was more so in like middle school, like with friends, like, oh, we gotta watch silly movies. 3 was always there. Now I know why. The 3 it's like you'd always walk in and be like, oh, let's get Naked Gun 33 and a third because the title's silly.
It is a silly title.
Nobody ever wanted to rent 2. We never watched 1. It was always 3.
Well, if you have not watched Naked Gun 33 and a third, it can be summed up by saying bumbling cops solve crime and save the day. Specifically in this one, it was someone from the Middle East funding a guy in the United States to make a bomb to blow something up, and it happened to be the awards
Academy
show.
Awards.
The Academy Awards.
The guy's name was Kashmir.
I will say, I thoroughly enjoy this movie because it has Fred Ward. That's worth a watch for me. I like
Which one's Fred Ward?
Think Tremors, the opposite of Kevin Bacon.
The bomber guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bobber guy.
I knew I recognized him from somewhere.
Oh, he's been on a lot of things. 2 things I really want to go back and watch. I looked him up again because I'm like, oh, I love Fred Ward. What has he been in? And I did a Google search for this, and I stumbled across 2 movies that, for some reason, one of them I'd pushed so far out of my brain that I forgot it even existed. And when we do bad movies or not good quality movies, but still fun to watch at some point, I want these to come up. And they are both Fred Ward movies. We've got Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
Whoa.
A movie that did so poorly that they canceled the other 2 sequels.
Ooh.
It was
Whoa.
essentially set up to basically be the American James Bond. And I mean, the cover couldn't be any more American, having Fred Ward grappling drawn on one of the spikes of the Statue of Liberty. And then this one I have so much interest in. I want to know so much about it. I'd never heard of this movie, but I'm so excited to watch it. It feels like a Fred Ward classic. Time Rider, The Adventure of Lyle Swan. I love names like that.
That's
I love
quite a
where it's just
name.
not. Yeah, both of these. It's like Remo, The Adventure Continues. Time Rider, The Adventure of Lyle Swan. It's like I love movies that have, nice big lengthy names describing the title and the adventure you're there to watch. This one sounds right up our alley though, guys. Fred Ward is in the desert competing in the Baja 1000, and he drives his dirt bike through a government time thing. Like they're having they're doing some sort of experiment with time travel, and he drives his dirt bike through it, and he ends up back in the Wild West on a dirt bike.
My God.
I can't wait to watch this.
I'd give it,
So
I'd
Fred
give it a
Ward.
try.
Yeah. It just sounds phenomenal. He's got a red suit, so everybody calls him El Diablo, and they're terrified of him. It's just him trying to get by in the Wild West with a dirt bike. And had I not watched The Naked Gun 33 and a third, again as an adult, I never would have known anything about this fantastic film that I need to see.
All good.
So I gotta
things.
thank the movie for that.
There you
Is
go.
it available somewhere?
I don't
Like,
know.
Are you just getting your hopes up for...
I don't
Good
know.
Lord.
Oh my. This does. At this moment right now, there's some fancies that are being tickled.
You can buy it on Amazon for $6 for standard definition.
That's
Oh,
too much
rent
for
it.
standard definition.
Oh,
You can rent it for $6. My bad. Buy it.
It's
for
still
10.
too much for standard definition.
I mean, based off of what I read, the gist of it is he's trying to get by in the Wild West and make his way back home. The scientists need to figure out how to come back through time in a time helicopter to save him.
Whoa.
And
I
apparently
can
the
see.
whole movie,
I can see why Rothy likes this so much. This is
No.
right. This is all up his alley.
This is the best part. He meets a wild gang of ruffians and outlaws who become obsessed with stealing his dirt bike. They don't know what it is, but they want it. So it's him trying
Unfortunately,
to
by the time they get it, he's out of gas.
Yeah.
To say I'm excited about this movie is just It's completely underselling it. I need to see this. Thank you, Naked Gun 33 and a third, for introducing me to this from a random Fred Ward Google search.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it a lot of us didn't really like this film.
It was
with
fine.
a fresh set of eyes.
Like I said, the last episode when you were talking about Naked Gun movies, Naked Gun OG, and then this one, and then 2. Because this, for some reason, I don't know, I maybe it was the way that the cast worked together or something, it felt less tiresome. It still wasn't good, but better than 2, in my opinion.
So I mean, the movie starts off with Frank in a dream sequence where he's in a shootout where there's a whole bunch of crime, and I swear the Queen's in there at one point. It's like there's the Pope and the President, and maybe
You're
the
just
Queen.
obsessed.
Who knows? Anyways,
I don't think the Queen's in that scene. I don't think
she has to be.
I think
She's
I
not.
think it's because it's the baby carriages.
Yeah.
First it's the baby carriage,
Yeah.
and then it's the baby carriages, and then it's the third baby carriage, and then it's the mobster, and then there's shooting, and then the baby carriages get free,
Yep.
and then there's more shooting.
And then
there's the
Nordberg tries to
president.
spike a baby.
That's
I
at
think-
the end. That's at the end.
For me,
Right.
that was probably the breakout for this movie. I laughed because I was young, but I was young enough to understand going postal. So having the postal workers coming out, firing up the place, I laughed like a fucking baby. Just tears streaming down my face when I was younger. I still got a good chuckle.
Unfortunately, there was a very racist depiction of a terrorist.
Oh yeah.
Again, late 80s, early 90s.
This was 94, just a few months before Juice got arrested for murder.
That glove just didn't fit.
Yeah. You wonder if it was this movie that pushed him off the edge.
He finished the puzzle and didn't know what to do.
He's just
God,
sitting there
that
trying to
sounds
figure
so
out what to do with his
horrible to
life.
say that.
He didn't finish the puzzle though. He
Well,
left
3
that
months
puzzle
later,
in its box
after the movie's done, he
on
figured
his
it out.
desk.
Things we like.
Yeah. I'll start that off with that the opening bit being wacky and the police siren opening credits, they stuck to their guns on those in each movie, and I felt like they did a decent job having a wacky opening scene and then a good credit sequence. I thought each movie was pretty solid in those counts.
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
They kept the format and it works. I always chuckled at the sperm donation scene and then him coming home and
Dumping the
she
champagne.
immediately... Yeah.
His
But then-
2 fingers, his thumb and his index finger, and his wrist is all wrapped up.
Yep. And she immediately accuses him of doing police work. He's trying to say, no, I swear. Immediately trying to fake an affair, talking about affair instead of being a police officer again. And I thought that was hysterical.
That was very funny.
I love the flip flop on that. Yeah.
I like in the prison that there are dogs talking on the phone to each other, and then
Yeah.
there's a hockey player complaining to a ref in the next box. And then the third box is an aquarium. It's not as funny, but I did like the dogs and the hockey player. I was like, there we go. We made something a little goofy in this scene here.
It's a good sight gag, absolutely. And even speaking of the prison, I love his name, Nick the Slasher McGurk. Like, it's just such a stupid name. I love it. But yeah. This movie has Anna Nicole Smith.
Yeah.
She has a dick in the end, and he throws up in a tuba. And as adolescents, we laughed. We laughed and we laughed and we laughed.
Throwing up in a tuba is funny.
That is funny. That's why I laughed.
Because it's
The
funny.
the whole lead into that is not really
Cringy.
funny. It's
Not
Because
really
it's
funny.
trying to be
Funny at the
Finkel's
expense
Einhorn.
of somebody else.
Well, it's also trying to be Finkel's Einhorn from Pet Detective.
If you say so.
Which I don't know. Pet Detective came out in 94. When, though? February. Whereas
shortly
Naked Gun
before
came
this.
out... Yeah, like literally a month before. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe not. Maybe not so much. But yeah, the joke leading up to it isn't as funny as the act of throwing up into a tuba, because that is funny. I love people vomiting into things that they shouldn't. Like vents of a car. Every time
Oh,
you
that's
turn the heater on.
terrible.
In a movie,
There's
not,
so many
not in real
wonderful
life,
places.
right?
Yeah, in a movie. You're right. It has geriatric park as well.
Mm-hmm. I did like in a sequence that when they're back in the 70s, they're sitting at the tables, and the tables have the candle holder that's glass, and the top comes off. And I don't know about you guys, but when I grew up, my parents held on to a ton of stuff from the 70s, and they had a few of those, but they were tinted golden brown, and I swear there is still one in their house. I swear it.
I believe you. You don't have to swear.
I like seeing things that make me nostalgic in a film. It's like, oh wow, that thing wasn't just specifically for my house. It did exist outside of my realm of understanding.
It's always crazy. It's like when you see the couch your parents had when you were a tiny child, or some like small item that they had, and suddenly
The
you're
wood
now
frame
like, whoa.
couch with the brown and gold like knit cushions.
Yeah, that's the
Yep.
one yeah.
Yep. My parents had that one for a real that couch for a real long time.
That must have been
Where
like
did that
an
end up
affordable
going?
couch that everyone had back then, because it's been used so many times to represent the 70s.
Probably. There's mass manufacturing. I don't know how
yeah.
rampant it was, but throw together a wood frame couch, you're easy enough. You can sell it at a low enough price where people can. What's amazing is that they lasted this long. Well, no, because it was the 70s, back when they made things with pride. Blah 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 blah. Rah!
American made. It'll last forever.
Rah!
Lasts for a decade.
Well, that's now, if you're lucky.
Yeah, right.
No, if you get a year out of your appliances, you're good. Like you've paid off your appliance. Because now you're going to be buying a new one anyways, because the new one's going to have a whole bunch of other things that you need to have in your appliances. Like TVs.
Like yes, TVs that tell you what's inside the fridge, so you don't even have to open the door.
Hey, it saves you money. You know, those few cents that you do spend over the year opening the door.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's math to it. I'm not going to do it.
But we're depending on you to do the math.
Oh.
Please do fridge math.
Oh, okay.
It could be a new study. It could be a new field. I'm a fridge mathematician. I do the numbers for fridges.
I guarantee the fridge companies have a fridge mathematician.
I really hope so.
He's probably an accountant.
I hope somebody goes home every night knowing that they did math for refrigerators. And they're okay with that.
They have to live with that. They have to look at themselves in the mirror every morning and tell themselves, I'm going to add and subtract for those goddamn refrigerators again, aren't I?
Were my calculations wrong? That's all
The meat is spoiled.
Yeah.
The math was wrong.
Did I appease the fridge gods?
Did
Is
you
work
lie?
tomorrow going to be frigid?
Oh,
Oh no.
Freon for the Freon god.
Oh.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
I like the retirement banner that says 3,000 dead, 432 wounded.
32 wounded.
And then
Yup.
in his speech, he just leads off, well, we killed a lot of people. It's
I
like,
didn't actually
yeah.
kill those last two guys. I kind of drove. I backed up over them. They just happened to be drug lords.
Lucked out, making light of police brutality. Hurrah!
yeah.
Mind you,
and-
they're a farce, so that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, even in 94, police brutality was a big thing in the LA area. Let's think, Rodney King and the LA riots.
Yeah.
So
They make fun. They make fun of violence in L.A. schools.
and they do make reference to the LA riots as well, with LA being on fire while they're having the Academy Awards. So
Yeah.
So we got a nice time capsule of a movie again.
yeah,
Yes, we do.
Just
Yes, we
capturing the zeitgeist of all the hot topic button issues and making it more whimsical and farcical. So in the future, when people are looking for actual information, they'll think that every kid had brought 3 guns to school. In
Well,
actuality, it was one gun.
It's
for
probably
3
more like
kids.
one.
yeah, they had to leave them in their lockers for one thing.
unless they left school, which all the guns were outside of school. So it's fine.
I think one of my favorite things for this installment is that they convinced a lot of people to do cameos. And
Yeah, there were
enjoyed that.
quite a few.
Weird Al.
Like Weird Al, Vanna White, those are the two big ones that stuck out, and then there was a bunch of other, like...
James Earl Jones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it kind of did
Pretty
feel like
much the entirety of the Oscars or Academy Awards was just cameo after cameo.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong
It's
with
hard
that.
to not. There's not. No, there isn't anything wrong with that. I just didn't think about it till now. Like, how many like real world actors did they get? Like big name actors did they get for that scene just to sit in the crowd?
It really had a Sharknado-esque feeling, where you get more and more people showing up for the movie, being like, "Hey, look, we're in this movie now."
I wish I knew what you were talking about, Ken, but I don't watch Drivel.
You should. You should know what I'm talking about. Those movies are amazing.
I also think you're a liar, Dan. You watched some Drivel with us in this past year.
Not by choice. Not by choice.
In the end, you could have said no.
And then we would be down in a host, and I can't have that on my conscience.
A magical film about crime running rampant and them turning an entire city into a prison.
Little Monsters.
Yes, Little Monsters. Appleton's the maximum security section. Yeah.
I mean, really, that's what it's about. Little crime lords being locked underground during the day.
Fred Savage catching a paycheck. That's what's really about.
And it's not a cameo in 33 and a Third, but having Arlie Remmel as a guard in the prison, it was like oh, I like him. It's good to see him in films.
Discuss who this is.
Joe, you're the old man. You're going to have to explain this to us.
He's the drill sergeant guy.
Yeah, he's most well known for being the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. But he...
Oh, that
right.
guy. Okay.
He has played many roles over the years, both humorous and dramatic, and he's just a wonderful person. I believe he's no longer with us as well.
He passed away a few years back.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He even had his own show, I think, on Discovery Channel or something like that,
Yep.
where he just went over weapons. Yeah. Really awesome.
Roll Call, I think it was.
I think you're right, yeah. But yeah, no, that was a good I know that guy moment. I like those.
Yeah.
I believe O.J. Simpson's in this movie as well, too. I don't know if you guys caught it, but...
That's not as much of an, I know that guy. This is special. No, it's like, okay.
He went from being clumsy to being just a real idiot in this movie. They made a definite change of character for Nordberg.
Well, I mean, you could blame it on the brain damage.
He did take quite a few blows to the head over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dan's right on that one.
You think that they actually had consequences for their actions in this movie? Like, nobody else suffers consequences.
Just the bad guys.
Yeah.
Just the bad guys.
The joke at the end's pretty silly. He has a child.
That looks exactly like him with the silver hair.
No, that's the dream sequence.
It's a dream sequence. The child comes out the wrong color and he chases Nordberg
Oh,
off the screen yelling at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was silly. I really don't have much else to say about this one.
No.
I like the mother character because she played a bunch of roles in the late 80s.
I thought she was the lady from the Goonies.
Yes.
She made me stop watching the movie for a while so I could look her up to make sure she wasn't the lady from the Goonies. I'm very bad at faces.
But yeah, she played a lot of stuff, and she does the same role basically all the time because she looks the role. She looks the part that she ends up playing. Like giving the middle finger in the rearview mirror. Him monologuing that felt like she didn't care for me, and she's giving the finger back. I'm like, okay. And before we leave things we like, I am just going to say Mother Teresa the musical tickled my funny bone.
It did.
Yes. I do love
on
that.
multiple levels because...
Good God, it's been so many years, but still, food, I need food, I'm really in the mood. It still pops in there every once in a while.
I need food. I am hungry.
Damn it, Joe.
All right, now let's Let's move over to the other side of the house, I guess.
It was delightful. The entire movie was great. I don't know. There was nothing I didn't like about the movie at all.
Well,
Hannah Nicole Smith.
I kid.
Okay, good. Hannah Nicole Smith. That's reason enough, in my opinion. I don't know.
the long legs, multiple knees, that was kind of funny, but that's, I think, where she peaked in the movie. And that's not even her.
Let's say.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's because she stopped becoming a set piece at that point and spoke
She did
and
fine.
attempted to act.
For what she is, she did fine.
She's a really good set piece. And
The
that's
same
it.
can be said about Jenny McCarthy in basketball.
Haven't seen it.
I feel like there's correlations between the two.
Yeah,
Like basketball
sure,
and
yeah.
this, like those are the two eye candy set pieces of the '90s that were in both of these movies. Like, I don't know. Growing up, I watched a lot of basketball and I watched a lot of Naked Gun, and I get the same. I get the exact same vibes from that aspect.
Well, and I think Jenny McCarthy even had less to do in basketball.
Yes, she provocatively ate a hot dog that went down Ed. Oh, what's his last name? Ed.
Sheeran.
Not Ed Sheeran. no, Ed.
DeBevics.
I'm gonna be
Norton?
upset if I don't remember it.
Ooh.
No,
good.
not Ed. Ernest Borgnine.
There you
Ernest
go.
Borgnine.
Ernest,
Okay.
not Ed. Ernest Borgnine. Yeah, it goes down his throat and kills him. But yeah.
The
long legs,
Yeah.
multiple knees was silly. I remember laughing at that, but it's a prop. It's not her.
I don't know. In the end, the movie peaks at being okay.
I can agree with that. Peaks at being okay.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. There's things I laughed at, not as much as the other ones. Like you said, Dan, there were a couple car scenes back, but not many. He hits, I think, what was it? He hits the parking meter and the change falls on his car.
Yep. And then there's another one. I know there's another one, but it was such a throwaway that I don't remember what it was. It was also, 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not going to be able to remember half the shit that made me laugh.
And I know you guys are going to be flack for this one, but for me personally, I feel like this is the weakest plot of the three. I feel like the first one, it's like, oh, somebody's trying to assassinate the queen. Okay, cool. Second one, it's like, oh, there's an environmentalist that's giving a false speech, blah, 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 doo. And then it all kind of came to a head at the end. And then this one is just kind of like...
Baby
Guy
fever.
wants... Yeah.
Baby fever.
Baby fever, and a guy wants to blow up the Academy Awards.
Yeah, and everyone kind of just comes together from happenstance. It's like,
Yes.
okay.
I don't have a lot of feelings towards this movie anymore, and that makes me sad. There were things that felt, very nostalgic for me and humbling and made me feel warm inside, like the opening. The opening, I laughed at that so hard so many times as a kid. It's hard for me not to like the whole baby scene. I love it. I love him going to spike the child. I love the postal service workers coming out, all of it. And then Geriatric Park, while it has lost its charm as an adult, it's still funny that they put it in there. I like it. But yes, like you said, Mother Teresa the musical, that still gets a massive chuckle out of me every time. It was really well done. But yeah, I don't know. For me, this was the weakest of the three. For me, the plot was the weakest. And it felt like it was just kind of like, what was funny in the other two? Let's get a couple of those in this one. That's kind of how I took it.
Yeah.
Interesting that he thought the Academy Awards was the end-all be-all for terrorism attack.
Yeah.
I guess for Hollywood people, that would be, oh no, we're being attacked.
I mean,
Yeah.
the dude was also in prison for a really long time. Maybe before he went in, like, the Academy Awards were more than just a...
Pageant.
There was another word I was going to use. Masturbatory.
Were they so masturbatory back then? They're definitely, they definitely peaked and have fallen off since, but I mean,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
it's just
Did you see
this
the latest
year
numbers.
since-
The latest numbers are... They're in line with the rest, like the last previous few years. They've been steadily declining, but this last year was a plummet for sure.
Hi.
I don't know, not like there's a pandemic or anything.
No, it's
Oh,
over.
no.
We won.
USA! USA!
Thank you. I wasn't sure where to go with that. That's what I was thinking, though.
This year, the number of viewers for the Academy Awards ceremony was a whopping 9 million.
Oh,
That's
man.
pretty low.
Yeah, that's very low. Last year, it was 23. The year before that was 29. So it's been coming down.
Yeah, it's been dropping. People, I mean, it became apparent that the award ceremonies just became a way to advertise movies.
Especially ones that don't really ever seem to have the right being named, like best film and whatnot. It's just kind of like, it feels like studios finding a way to, like you said, advertise films that either did really well, but they still want more money, or not many people heard of, but they were critical darlings, so they want people to still put money towards them.
But ultimately, I think what everyone was waiting for was Leonardo DiCaprio to get his award, and then it doesn't matter.
Who needs
we don't
to
have
watch?
a reason to watch anymore. Exactly, we're done.
Leo just need to figure out that he had to get mauled by a goddamn bear before he would get his award.
What does he have to do? Now he knows.
He was responsible for the Titanic sinking. Nothing.
All right, well, we kind of covered, how this movie's changed over time. I mean, I don't even know if I really would have found it funny at the time, because the whole series was wearing so thin on me at this point in 1994. I was ready to move on to other things. I did move on to other things.
See, that's what's different with me, is like, I started watching these a long time where all three were available for me to just pluck from the store shelves. So it's like, I gobbled all three of them up in unison and didn't think anything of it. That's why it's so interesting to talk to people who these weren't all out when they watched them. So
yeah,
it's a completely different mindset.
Well, I mean, a big thing around this time period is when two sketch comedy shows became very popular: Kids in the Hall and The State. And you can't
love me some Kids in the Hall.
You can't get into those shows and then come back to something like 33 1/3 and find it as funny anymore, because Kids in the Hall were doing new things, more like funny, exciting things. The State was often bizarro land, doing very funny things and that's why not many people know about it, is because they were so weird with their humor. But I loved it. I still love it.
You say Kids in the Hall, and I immediately jump to the Whitest Kids You Know.
Yep, there are good ones who shook up stuff in the recent past.
I don't think I've ever watched any Kids in the Hall. Now that I'm thinking about it.
It's good stuff, Dan. I recommend it.
I'll have to spend some time on the YouTubes.
I don't know if Kids in the Hall aged well.
Crush Your Head? Come on. Hey, crush your head. Just sitting there pinching people's heads.
There's that. There's the gazebo,
like
which
that
is
still hold up.
so bizarre and kind of fun.
There's good stuff in the Kids in the Hall for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely good stuff. Oh, don't put salt in your eyes.
Don't put salt in your eyes. Yeah.
It was just great. But then I have a feeling that if I go back and watch it, I won't find it as funny for some reason.
I think I finally got around to watching most of it probably around 2017-ish. And I still found most of it rather humorous. I was like,
oh, this is good.
But would it be funny now in 2021? Who knows?
It's been 4 years. It's a fucking bizarre 4 years. Who knows what's funny anymore? I don't.
It really has been. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to consider all the stuff that I did traveling in 2019 going into 2020. And then as soon as I get back from my very first big trip of the year in 2020, like, shakunk, everything was just like, nope.
Global Iron Curtain. We're all trapped.
We'll never travel again for another 5 to 8 years.
Except for you, Joe, because your job demands it.
All right, why not? I just won't breathe.
You could at least be provided a giant hamster bubble for you to travel around in.
Then I'd be the bubble boy.
Sense. Exactly.
Some hot quality
That's Water Boy Dan.
I'll catch a ride with the bright and shinies.
Damn it.
That is Bubble Boy.
Yes. That is Bubble Boy.
Talk about dumb movies.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, man, that's another recessed memory. Wow.
I had watched it again recently, and yep, verified. Dumb movie.
It was on a VHS. I don't remember what VHS, but it was on a VHS I watched frequently as a child as an ad, and I always was like, oh, that looks silly. And then growing up, it's just like, well, I guess I'll get around to finally watching it since it's here. Watch it once, it's just like, that was good enough. That was good enough.
Done. All right.
Yep.
So, well, yeah, this movie does remind me of a thing that I notice in movies usually. Once you have to start introducing babies as a plot point,
Ooh, yes.
like
that's like
if
a
you
jump the shark
start
moment.
if you start with a baby, like shoot 'em up, it's usually fine. If you have to introduce a baby like Shrek the Third, you know that you've run out of content and your movie's been around for too long. And you're just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. You got Shrek the Third, Ghostbusters 2.
I was gonna say, I would say Ghostbusters 2 doesn't count because Ghostbusters 2, the baby is pivotal to the plot. So it's not like they just kind of threw one in and it's like, it's a baby movie. It's like Vigo needs a vessel to come back to life in.
Or did they shoehorn that in because they're like, oh, they have to move forward and they have to have a baby?
Well, I think the bigger issue with Ghostbusters 2 is the cartoon. The cartoon sullied Ghostbusters, and that's what pissed almost everybody universally off that saw it. There's a lot of people who do love Ghostbusters 2, I'm included. I like the tone, I like a lot of the things it represented. But Ghostbusters 2 was definitely heavily marred by the real Ghostbusters cartoon. It got rid of smoking, it got rid of some more of the adult-oriented things. There's no ghost blowjob in Ghostbusters 2. I mean, it definitely changed things significantly. Not destroying the entire tone of Ghostbusters as a whole, but 2 has definitely got a different tone than 1. That is... it's completely disputable.
One movie that introduced babies that ruined everything. Look Who's Talking.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean...
Yeah.
Then Look Who's Talking 2.
Sucked ass.
Look Who's Talking again.
Oh, that's right, 3! They made 3 of them.
It couldn't recover. Boss Baby.
Yeah, some John Travolta and Kirstie Alley nonsense. But yeah, generally I would agree.
I really got to come up with more examples than Shrek the Third because Shrek really didn't start off on a strong foot to begin with.
No, I remember being like in middle school or so, loving Shrek, thinking it's funny, and then all of a sudden a baby's in it. It's like, oh. It's like a second a baby gets brought into a film series. It's like, yeah,
now it's not funny.
Sucked out. It's just, the wind in the sails is gone.
Is it a film series, though? Or is it just anytime babies are around?
Babies are liars and they're creeps.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just tired of seeing all my friends having children.
What do you do in the 80s and 90s when you're out of ideas? You stumble on the trope of introduce a baby because it makes everyone uncomfortable. Nobody knows how to take care of a baby. It's a new thing. Or...
let's make these people who are definitely not good, would definitely make awful parents.
Yep. Or the very tired trope of, I am a male and I don't know how to take care of kids or do what mom does when she's not home.
Yes.
My God, that one took far too long to die.
Agreed.
I know it pops up every now and then, but that was like a go-to. That was like every movie's bread and butter and every sitcom and every shows. It's like, oh, the lady's out of the house. What's the guy gonna do? He doesn't know how to do things with babies. He can't do anything. He's just a guy.
I mean, they built a whole movie on that. 3 men and a baby. What are we gonna do? We're a bunch of dudes.
I thought you were gonna say Mr. Mom.
Well, yeah,
Mr. Mom?
There's that too.
Hell, even the Santa Claus, Tim Allen, like, he can't cook. He just burns the turkey and then they have to go out looking for food. It's just like, there's so many movies with that in it, even if it's not the central plot. There's so many movies that deal with dads or just aloof male pieces that can't somehow take care of a child, or don't know how to cook, or don't know how to clean. They know how to go out in the car with a wrench and fix things in the garage, but you ask them to vacuum and, oh man, it's going to be laughs a mile a minute for the next half hour. I don't know what that was, and I'm glad it's gone, or at least starting to go away.
Same.
Yeah.
This rant is over on that one. It's always driven me nuts.
Well, I know Dan thinks that this one's a little bit better than 2, but I think this one just...
Not by much. I think not by much.
So done with the series.
But yeah, Dan, what you got from this movie was the fact that they brought in a bunch of I was trying to get that with Sharknado. They brought in a bunch of high profile characters where you think that they're trying harder, but what is actually happening is just like, oh, look, it's a person I know. And what you're seeing is the nostalgia of this person you're seeing, or, you know, how they're throwing these people into there is making you think that people are trying harder around them. And maybe they are trying harder just to kind of impress these people that they brought into the movie. However, that's all they did for this movie, was pump it up with cameos. They didn't pump it up with new, fresh ideas or jokes.
Plot.
They rehashed the bumbling...
A lot of time-sensitive
I see it.
jokes.
I see it.
Yes, time-sensitive for sure. So would you guys agree that they are turning this into essentially a movie equivalent of Weekend at Bernie's? They're propping up a corpse and asking it to dance because they want to get a few more shillings and shekels out of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How dare you sully the name?
But that's what Weekend at Bernie's
Weekend
did.
at Bernie's.
From the outside, it's still Bernie, but there's no Bernie inside.
He's
Bernie's
not
gone.
sullying the name of this movie. He's propping up that movie because it's
Makes me
got an
wanna watch
original plot.
that.
And he's using that to say this movie is as bad as those kids who used Bernie to further their life.
Yeah, I mean, they got to go to a fancy island and troll some babes, all by just propping up a corpse. They used a corpse as their get-in card.
I like this.
I don't know where I'm going with that.
No, that's a solid analogy.
I like it.
Weekend at Bernie's was originally supposed to have the Coreys in it, but they...
Oh, seriously? Corey Haim is in Corey...
I don't
Feldman?
remember where I heard that recently, but it was supposed to be the Coreys was supposed to be the dudes in that, but they decided to make them a little bit older.
Oh, well, it's okay. It had what's his name. I really like that guy. Yeah, what's his name?
I like that guy. What's his name?
Pauly Shore.
That's
I have
helpful.
No,
no
I was
idea.
forgetting his... No, not Pauly Shore. Andrew McCarthy. It had Andrew McCarthy.
God damn it! I have to Google another person.
He's
What?
been in things. He was in Mannequin.
Ah, yeah, I like Mannequin.
I saw that.
If
If
movie
you-
you
once.
Mannequin, he was in Pretty in Pink.
Oh,
He's in a
Bobo
bunch of
Paul
movies.
Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
Bobo Paul Rudd.
That man will never age. Paul Rudd is the new Gene Wilder.
That's a
I
statement.
can see that.
Wow.
I-
That is a
I can
statement.
see that statement being...
Gene. It took a really long time
Oh,
for
okay.
Gene to look old.
I see what you're saying.
And when
I
he
thought you
did, then
meant,
he
like,
died.
as an actor.
No, acting quality and stuff. No. Paul's funny, but only in small.
I was gonna say, Gene
small
Wilder
spurts.
was very influential on me.
Don't ask him
as,
to do-
an actor.
As a spry young lad.
Yep.
Who just wants to do flips so you can show how whimsical you are.
As a young hobo.
Any last words for the last movie of the Naked Gun series?
I don't know, did we talk about if it held up?
We kind of know the answer.
Well, it
to
definitely
that.
Yeah.
doesn't. I don't think we
I
need
kind
to.
of feel like we answered that without actually asking
Yeah.
the questions.
I think we answered that by not actually talking about the movie most of this time.
Pretty much.
Oh, ooh.
We spent a lot of time
It's
not
true,
talking
we
about
really
the-
didn't.
33 and a third. Damn it.
I say
That's
that
the last time I'm
yeah.
saying that's stupid.
That
Ah.
relates to the fact that I felt by the time getting to this film that I didn't care. I mean, they would have had to do a lot more for me to get pulled back in, and they didn't. They had tiny
with-
little things spread through the movie that pulled me in, but most of it just meh, it's okay.
Yeah, and with that being said, I will go back and watch the original. I love the original. I still think it's funny. It's got its moments. I even like the
100%.
plot. Like, it has Randy Newman. Come on, you have a Randy Newman song in a movie, and it's instantly worth a rewatch.
And I don't think
Yeah.
those jokes are so time locked.
They're not. I mean, you could argue the beginning of the film, the first film starts off with his dream sequence where he's just in the room with, God, who else? Who was all there? It was like all the baddies of the '80s. It was like Gorbachev. Yeah, Gorbachev was there. A bunch of other. I don't remember who because
The Iranian
I was
leader.
too old at that point. I was too old at this point.
But yeah, that's about as time locked as I. And this is also me saying this after we watched it over a year ago. It's
Yeah.
like I think that's about as time locked as that movie got. The rest of it was pretty free flowing. Whereas
Exactly. It was more silly and more about Frank and Police Squad than it was about shoehorning in jokes about things that were
And
relevant.
honestly, who they were didn't matter as much as what they represented. Because in that movie, they represented like foreign powers who are evil, I'm doing finger quotes, evil foreign powers of which the U.S. is trying to topple. And you don't necessarily need to know who they are in order for that idea to be presented, which they did well.
Yeah, I still think the first movie is very special. I will go back and watch it. I have no problems with it. Second one, maybe here and there for a chuckle, but 3, I don't really see myself going back and watching 3 again.
No, I would never. I watched it the once, and I will never watch it again.
You're not going to go back and watch it for the Anna Nicoles? Oof.
She's dead.
There's a lot of movies with very attractive women that are also dead, Dan.
Carrie Fisher.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, I probably won't go back and watch any of those movies either, because that would make me sad.
God damn it.
Well, I mean, the Blu-rays have been sitting in their box for almost 2 years at this point.
The Blu-rays have been sitting in their box since the day I had my dad pick them up on a midnight release because I had work at 6 in the morning the next day. And then I watched them once the following day, realized how much they changed, and never watched them again.
That's why you got to get the unspecial edition or whatever, the non-specialized edition.
I don't think they released that anymore.
Well, it's not released. This is internet stuff.
Who is it? There's a celebrity that's part of that. I can't remember what. But there's like a big celebrity that loves Star Wars and has actually helped out with that edit.
It's the same group of people who like take the gritty grayscale filters off of movies. They started with Man of Steel and compared that to like the older Superman movies and how much better Man of Steel would have been had they not put that grungy
everything's got to be dark
filter on it.
Was dark.
Unless it's a lens flare.
And look what happened to one of the actors.
Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman.
He is. I'm excited about that.
Since we're so off topic, I will say that was The Naked Gun 33 1/3 rewound and making us puke into tubas. So please like, rate, review, comment, subscribe, share, and all that stuff to help us grow this podcast. If you want to help us grow the podcast, I'm looking at you. Do you want to grow the podcast? Do you?
Yeah. Yeah?
Joe, you're scaring them.
Or else we'll climb into your houses and puke in your trombones. That's what we do.
Whoa.
It's a lot of trouble.
Like and subscribe or else we'll vomit in your trombone. And your tubas.
I don't want to go back to doing that again,
tubas,
guys.
Your
Come
stringed
on.
instruments.
You made me do it because I'm the smallest. I'm not doing it again.
Now, I just remembered that we didn't agree to what we'd watch next, so...
Correct.
I'll just say, come back in 2 weeks when we rewind again. And then I'll announce it at another time, what we're watching.
Okay. Final word. There are so many better movies that are farces that you can just go watch over and over again.
Ken, that's more than a word.
It's a crowded market, having all these slapstick movies, but there's some that are definitely stronger than the others.
That was more than a last word, but I think we're done.
All right. Recording